Your weight loss is being blocked by one question. Is sugar really that bad? That question that you don't even know you're asking is really the reason you carry extra weight on your body and deal with all the mysterious health issues that you have. Professionals keep saying that food can't be addictive because we need it to survive. Nature encourages us to eat sweet, and sweet stuff makes life more fun. If we take those two ideas together as true, how do we explain the fact that every one of us have, on different occasions, made sincere efforts to lose weight and failed because we were compelled to eat off plan? So compelled to eat food. You've experienced that compulsion, but you discount it, like I did. In that moment, somehow, I convinced myself that I love chocolate, right? Or that my weight problem, skin issue, and desire to get healthy weren't as important as me eating the chocolate. Because I love chocolate that much. That promise that I made to myself to lose weight didn't matter because I was holding a piece of chocolate. I want to swear, it wasn't until I tried to do keto and live withdrawal that I understood what was really happening to me. I was a carb addict, and I was mindlessly feeding my sugar addiction at every opportunity. When it comes to addiction, there's both psychological and physical elements. We are overpowered by the pleasure pathways in our brain. They push us to eat sweet. And fat cells make hormones that fuel our hunger.
When you start to reduce calories, is that you change your hormones, your satiety hormones and your hunger hormones. And this was a study where they took people and they made them lose weight. And they maintained it over a long period of time. And then they measured their hormones and said, after 1 year, let's look at what's happening. Okay? So again, the hope is that as you get used to this new weight, that your body will just kind of settle down and be normal at this weight. But it doesn't. So ghrelin is the so-called hunger hormone. It's a hormone that makes you hungry. So even a year after weight loss, your ghrelin is much higher than it was before. Peptide YY is a satiety hormone, makes you full. So if it's lower, it means you're more hungry, right? And again, even after a year, your satiety hormone is lower than normal, right? So the bottom line is that you're a lot hungrier. This always strikes me as one of the most unfair things in medicine. Because you're hungrier, like you're eating more, you want to eat more. But it's not because you're some gluttonous slob, right? It's because your hormones are making you hungry and you're burning less energy. So as you regain that weight, everybody thinks, oh, you went off your diet because you have no willpower. Right? And again, one of the most unfair things in medicine, because we know it's all about your metabolism, which went down, and your hunger hormones, which went up.
Sugar is at the center of hormonal changes and weight gain. So, is sugar that bad? Everyone's going to expect the carnivore to say, sugar is the devil. That's not what this conversation is about. I want to help you understand what I learned about carbohydrates that have allowed me to easily and comfortably choose to eat a lifestyle that is counter to everyone around me. If you're meeting me for the first time, I'm Violet. I've been helping people change their behavior and stick to their health plans for more than 25 years. In the last 7 years, I solved my obesity and pain issues. I make these videos because I know that, like me, most people don't know why they can't lose weight and stay healthy. There is no question that the sugar, so the white stuff, is bad. High fructose corn syrup, horrible. I want to start with pointing out that sugar and high fructose corn syrup are pretty much the same. Sugar is 50-50, glucose and fructose. High fructose corn syrup is somewhere between 40 and 60% fructose. I've even heard people say they can get as high as 90% fructose, the rest being glucose. So in both sugar and high fructose corn syrup, there's only 2 carbohydrates in there, the same 2. The problem, as I understand it, is fructose is the sweetest naturally occurring carbohydrate and only metabolized by the liver. There's this bodily thing called the cephalic response, so brain response. That's when your brain reacts to something. Our brain response is always faster than our conscious active response, which makes sense because our brain tells our body what to do. When we taste sweet, our brain initiates the release of insulin, the fat storage hormone, because too much sugar in the blood is dangerous.
On a high carb diet, if you get most of your calories from carbohydrate, then you will have pretty much 100% of the brain's energy from glucose. But a lot of people will now jump to the conclusion that that means the glucose is the preferred fuel because it uses it first. And it's the other way around. It's the exact opposite. That glucose is an emergency. When we have something called hyperglycemia, meaning blood sugar that is too high, that is an emergency. A very high level can put you into a coma. We can have hyperglycemia, which is an emergency. We could also have hyperlipidemia or hyperproteinemia, which is high fat or high protein. But those are not emergencies. There is no necessary hormone for the body to release to deal immediately, short term, with high lipids or high protein. But if we have high glucose, that is an emergency and we have to deal with that right now. And that's why in the first few minutes of eating glucose or carbohydrate, we will have a response in the form of insulin to deal with that glucose. And that's why we use it first.
High fructose corn syrup tastes sweeter than table sugar, tastes sweeter than glucose. That's why companies use it. And that makes it even more dangerous to our health. Our body has no use for fructose. We aren't plants. So it's treated as a toxin and removed by the liver. That's an extra stress on my liver that many doctors believe is contributing to non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. When our body prepares for a lot of incoming sugar, it releases a lot of insulin. The same thing happens if we have artificial sweetener. Insulin is released because it happens even before you swallow, because as soon as my brain gets the signal, incoming sugar, it needs to protect me from that incoming sugar. What's important for us to understand from this, Wellness Warrior, is that sweet tastes have a huge impact on our fat storage hormone. And fructose is the sweetest naturally occurring carbohydrate, having a humongous impact on our fat storage hormone. But glucose is great when we get it from the right place. Okay, so what's the right place? Fruits? Nope. You'll get fructose if you get it there. Vegetables? Nope. You're going to get phytochemicals if you get it there, and fructose. But obviously processed foods, no, we don't want to get it there, our sugar there either, because that's, again, not healthy. Glucose is critical for good health. We need it. Without it, you don't survive. Too much of it, you don't survive. Having the right amount in your body is actually the most important thing that you can do for yourself.
Let's say that you start off with a normal blood glucose, and then while you are healthy, it takes a certain amount of insulin, which is also a healthy level, to control that. And then let's say that a few years go by and you check it again and your glucose is normal once more. But if they only measure glucose and A1C, then they're going to get the glucose, which is instantaneous. They're going to get the A1C, which is a 100-day average. But here's the point. Both of those markers, glucose and A1C, are controlled variables. The body works very, very hard at keeping it down, like we've talked about throughout here. High blood sugar is an emergency. The body starts counteracting it within minutes because it's dangerous. So let's say that 5 years later, the blood sugar is still controlled at that level, but it takes 2 to 3 times more insulin to control it. Here, we wait another 5 years, glucose is still normal. It's probably still right in this range right here, but now that insulin is up 5-fold. So then 5 years later again, now we see that it's gone over 100. So it's gone from, let's say, 90 to 120, and now your A1C is probably around 6, and your insulin is probably sky high. So if we understand you can't measure, you can't rely on a marker, on a variable that is so tightly regulated, because glucose is going to change like this and only change when the body fails. Whereas if we measure insulin, which is the thing controlling it, we're going to see an almost linear change.
Glucose is critical for good health. When we ignore this by overeating carbs, our body steps in and corrects the situation. It's like believing that you live in a magical house that just stays clean all by itself, when in reality, your husband hired a maid without telling you. You get more sloppy and never pick up after yourself, making more work for the maid until we get to the level where she just can't keep up. Should your husband hire a second maid, or should you pick up a dish every once in a while? Obviously, our body can manage what we're eating. You're here watching this video. But Wellness Warrior, managing is not the same as thriving. When I was still eating garbage, I was carrying 80 extra pounds on my body, living with joint pain and on a path to familial diabetes and heart disease. I decided to help my body out, and I started keto 2,463 days ago. In a mere 3 months, my joint pain was gone. After 5 months of keto, I was at goal weight. That was a pivotal moment in my health journey. Most people would have celebrated with cake or ice cream, chocolate. I celebrated by being grateful to have learned that my weight regulated because I stopped sabotaging my health by eating unnecessary carbohydrates. My body makes all the sugar that I need. So where am I supposed to get the sugar from? My body. It will make it. Today, I'm committed to feeding my body food, meat, fish, poultry, and eggs. It's been 324 days since I decided to eat a carnivore diet because my body makes all the sugar that I need. Eating healthy daily is possible, Wellness Warrior. I'm encouraging you to prioritize health over having fun with food. To get started, check out the video on the screen right here. And I'd really appreciate if you hit like and comment prioritize health with a purple heart. That's free for you and it helps the video. Thank you.